And so the reason why a mitzvah is compared to smell is, let's start with the Torah. Torah is compared to taste, something which you take in, something which you internalize. And when you internalize it, it becomes part of you. That's the Torah. You learn it, the information comes inside. As opposed to smell, smell is more of a general thing, of an atmosphere. It's almost like cloudy. So that's the idea of the smell, which is compared to a mitzvah. The mitzvah, when you do a mitzvah is compared to a cloth, which is around you, as opposed to the Torah, which is something that you take inward. Now, the Lulav, which is going to be the main point of today's lesson, the Lulav is from a date, it's a palm branch from a date tree, and that has only a taste, no smell. That represents a person that learns Torah. The myrtle branch, the hadas, has only smell but no taste. So that represents a Jew that has more mitzvot and not so much knowledge in Torah. And then finally we have the arava, which is the willow branch, and that has neither smell nor taste. So that's a simple Jew that doesn't have either mitzvot or learning Torah. Now when we say the bracha, not tomorrow, because tomorrow is Shabbat, and we don't do the mitzvah of making a bracha on the lulav and etrog tomorrow. Tomorrow is muksa. On Shabbat, the lulav and etrog is muksa. Not allowed to touch it. But on Sunday morning, we'll make the bracha on the lulav and the etrog. By the way, we're having a minyan, hopefully every morning during the Chol HaMoed at 8 o'clock. So if you're able to, please join us, of course, in the open area right near Chabad Rechavia. And hopefully it's going to be a nice minyan, as always. And so the bracha that we make is al netilat lulav, for the shaking of the lulav. Now, we have the etrog. I can understand why the bracha is not on the arava. I can even understand why the bracha is not on the hadas. But why don't we say the bracha on the etrog? A beautiful fruit, and it really beautifies the entire mitzvah. Why do you make the bracha on the lulav? And the answer is because over here, and that's the point that we're going to try to elaborate for a couple of moments on, is that the lulav represents Torah learning. And Torah learning is the most important thing in Judaism. Of course, mitzvot are very important, but now we're going to focus a little bit on the Torah learning. Now, here's an interesting question. The etrog represents a Jew which has both Torah and mitzvot. The lulav represents a Jew that has only Torah. So how could that be? Because a Jew that it says in the Talmud, a Jew that says he only has Torah and no mitzvot, so it's better that he should never have been born. It actually says a statement which is a little more harsh than that. And so, how could the lulav represent someone who doesn't have any mitzvot? And the answer is that it doesn't mean doesn't have any mitzvot. It means that this person's main focus is on learning Torah. You see, there are people over here in Yerushalayim and other places around the world that learn in kollel all day. You know what that means? That's a huge zechut, a merit, and an honor to be able to learn Torah the entire day. Now, does that mean that the person does not do mitzvot? No, it doesn't mean they don't do mitzvot. It means that their main focus in life, in Judaism, is to learn Torah. Did you know that it's these people who learn Torah the entire day that keep the world standing? One of the reasons why Hashem made different time zones is that while we're sleeping over here in Israel, people are awake in America and in Australia, for example. And while they're sleeping over there, we're awake. So we always have to have someone learning Torah. So those people that learn Torah 8 hours a day, 12 hours a day, and even more, those are great Torah scholars. These are the people that hold the entire world standing, keep it standing. Because the world cannot exist if there's no Torah learning. So when you and I are learning Torah now, we are keeping the world standing. So the simple reason why we make the bracha on the lulav is because the lulav is the tallest fruit branch, and it sticks out. So therefore, we make the bracha on the lulav. But on a deeper level, when we talk about the importance of learning Torah, and we're at the beginning of the new year, we want this to be the main focus. It doesn't mean that the lulav, the person that learns Torah, is not doing mitzvot. It means that this is his main focus to learn Torah. From here we see the greatness of the Torah and the learners of the Torah. Even though those that are compared to the etrog are amazing, they both learn Torah and they do mitzvot. But because their life is not totally dedicated to learning Torah, it's still put to the side. But the lulav, that represents someone who is totally given over his life to learning Torah. And that is so commendable that even in this world, their entire involvement is to learn Torah. When the neshama, before the neshama is born and after the neshama passes away, then the neshama is learning Torah the entire time and enjoying Hashem's great, radiant, spiritual existence. But down here in this world, to learn Torah the entire day is something which is very, very commendable. Like Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, he's an extreme example of someone whose entire occupation was to learn Torah. Now, another point that we can compare between the lulav and the learning Torah is about the shaking. The mitzvah of shaking the lulav and etrog, make a bracha and you give it a shake. Practically speaking, our custom is that we shake it 3 times, first to the right, then to the left, then in the middle, then up high, down below, and then behind us. So in all the 4 directions, up and down, we bring blessing, we bring bracha to the entire world. First we make the blessing, and then we do the shaking. So the mitzvah is the minimum is to shake the lulav at least once, at least one shake. This idea we find also by learning Torah. If you see someone that's sitting usually in shul, but even in their home, or even outside on a bench, and they're shaking, you can guess that they're probably learning Torah. They're probably learning Talmud, or Chassidut, or any part of the Torah so why are they shaking? Why can't you just read a book? The answer is because our neshama is compared to a flame. And a flame flickers, a flame moves back and forth, and it jumps up. And so learning Torah, when you read a book, just a regular book, novel or whatever it is, so you can be cold, you can be just relaxed, you take a suntan. But learning Torah is life. Learning Torah, it's like a candle. Our neshama is all invigorated. And so when we learn Torah, it's very natural that we shake back and forth. It's not a plan that now let me shake, and now let me go backwards, and now forwards, and now to the side, and to this side, and turn around. You don't stop moving. Excuse me. Could be learning Torah, and usually a person is shaking during the learning of the Torah, because that shows that the person is alive, is full of heat, is full of life. I can't say it better, like a candle. And so when we shake the lulav meaning all 4 species, but we talk about the lulav because the lulav is the main part. So this is something which signifies life. So when we shake the lulav on Sunday morning, hopefully we are going to have in mind that we are alive and that we are learning Torah, and that we should have in mind that this coming year should be a year filled with learning Torah, learning more Torah classes, being able to share the Torah classes that we learn with others, either with your own social media or with email, or just to pass on videos. Like the video, for example, that I send out before every Shabbat, B'ezrat Hashem, send it around to your entire list. Allow people to be able to enjoy even 2 minutes of learning Torah. Because today, thanks to social media, we can really share all the great gifts that Hashem has given us and the inspiration of different concepts in learning Torah and the parsha of the week and the Chagim, that it should be publicized as much as possible. And so, having said that, we are going to wish all of you a great Chag Sukkot and a great Shabbat. Thank you so much for joining us. We still have a few more arrangements to do to prepare for the holiday. And so it was a great honor to be able to learn with all of you. And have a great Chag. Be well. Looking forward to seeing you soon. Be well.